Hey, what if we did a show where we just didn't have any guests? What if we did a show where we just gave you a phone number like 888-720-9677, 888-720-WNPR, and you could call up about anything. We can't do that. That's not public radio. Public radio is planning. It's being careful. It's like retaking things. We can't do that. Well, that's what they told me. And they were right. But we do it anyway. We're doing it today. Ask or Tell Me Anything. Coming up after the news.
You know they would. Any old fool. They say they love you. Any old fool. They'll say they need you. Can they show you? Show you, baby. Then they show you, baby. They show you, baby. Can they show you? Can they show you, baby? Is it just a bet? Should you commit to it? Is there something to get? Are you overthinking it? Half awake, the mistake is in making a meant thing out of a meaningless dreaming, half forgotten and fading. Fully lost albatross in the moss-covered inkling, mindful ship slowly sinking. This is what there is to see. Bask in the mystery. This is where there is to go. Know that you'll never know. This is what you get, whatever good it is. The only good in it's whatever you can make of it. Xylophones made of bones that you loaned from a boneyard.
Oh, they might be giants. I mean, they might be giants. We can't even play that song without thinking about John Dankosky. Somewhere, even though he might not be listening to the show, somewhere John Dankosky is unhappy because somewhere else someone is playing They Might Be Giants, which he doesn't like. All right, so it's Ask or Tell Me Anything, 888-720-9677. You know the format, 888-720-WNPR. I don't have any calls right now. That's fine, too. No, it is fine, actually. Let me tell you about my weekend. I saw Jesus Christ Superstar. I've been planning to since 1973. I just had not gotten... No, it was the opposite. So I went to see Jesus Christ Superstar, which is being staged at the much acclaimed, justifiably much acclaimed, Goodspeed Opera House. Goodspeed Musicals, it's called now, on the Connecticut River in beautiful East Haddam. And so my relationship with Jesus Christ Superstar goes something like this. Well, let me just back up and say that Jesus Christ Superstar was produced initially as a concept album, as a rock opera. This was back in the days of rock operas. Well, I mean, there weren't really days of rock operas. This is back in the days where people who were active in rock music thought, I ought to write a rock opera. Now, in this case, the people who wrote the rock opera were not necessarily all that. Well, they were actually. So Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice wrote this. And one thing that's kind of interesting about Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice is they were just sort of kind of songwriters. In fact, there's a song in Jesus Christ Superstar, the song that King Herod sings, that they initially wrote as a pop tune for some, kind of Lulu type. In fact, they might have written it for Lulu, and then somebody else recorded it. It had different lyrics, but so they were sort of active in the kind of pop scene in England at the time. And so they put out Jesus Christ Superstar. By the way, let me give out the phone number again, just in case I run out of things to say. 888-720-9677. That's 888-720-WNPR. You can call up about anything you want to. All right, so they wrote this thing. And it was a concept album. Ian Gilliam sang, he was from Deep Purple. He sang the part of Jesus. Murray Head sang the part of Judas. And so on and so on. And Yvonne Elliman, who just kind of made a career of this, she was in a lot of the iterations. She sang the part of Mary Magdalene. And then eventually, I think about a year or two later, they was up on the West End of London as a theatrical production, came to America. And then I think by 1973, it was released as a movie with Ted Neely in the role of Jesus. Let me say something about, I think Ted Neely, I mean, it's not like I have a lot of things to compare him to, but he's just a great Jesus. And I actually interviewed him, I think maybe twice, and he would come into the studio. Because what happened was, after he was in the movie, he was Jesus like forever. I mean, he was Jesus way past the age when Jesus was when Jesus died. I mean, way past the age of 33, Ted Neely was still doing this, and he was touring with it. And when I talked to him, you might think he'd be getting a little exhausted with the whole thing. But instead, he was like very happy. He was at least, or either he was putting on a great act, but like he really liked being Jesus every night. He wasn't getting bored with it at all. I mean, he was like 50 or something. He's still playing. I mean, this had to be. No, I think I don't know. This, like the first time I interviewed him, it would have been at minimum in the late 90s. So this is like 25 years after the movie. So there's some interesting things about Jesus Christ Superstar. First of all, it is written as an opera. It's an opera with very little of what's called recitative too. It's really kind of the bunch of songs having to do the work, and there isn't that kind of narrative recitative more than very occasionally. And there's no spoken words. So you have to do, I mean, what's helpful is that people do know a lot of the story already. Although, what's the other thing that's odd? So walking out of the Goodspeed on Saturday night, or just waiting to, get out of the aisle of the Goodspeed on Saturday night, I became aware of the fact that people around me were discussing what actually does happen. And in Jesus Christ Superstar. In other words, people were having a conversation about, I see what was happening. The phones were broken, right? Now they're working, is something like that. So you'd be surprised how often we try to do this show with broken phones. You'd think phones would be just a critical part. All right, so... people were discussing among themselves. Well, what does Peter do? Does he deny knowing Jesus? This is all news, apparently. But I do think it's a remarkable piece of music writing. I think Tim Rice's lyrics are unbelievable. The breakthrough that they had was that they would tell the story through the eyes or through the voice, initially anyway, of Judas. The Judas's perspective for an awful lot of the musical, starting with the very beginning, would be the dominant perspective of the musical. So that's pretty radical in and of itself. And I just think, it's superbly written. The songs are great. The libretto is tremendous. But it is also written for a specific kind of voice that is really not the standard theatrical voice. Both Jesus and Judas, especially Jesus, though, are tenors or baritenors who have to be able to do that rock scream. And I mean, the notes are tough. There are just tough notes in the charts. So anyway, I very much enjoyed seeing it. I resisted singing along because you're not supposed to do that. I mouthed along. Do you ever do that? You're sitting there and you know the words. And then you kind of mouth along with the singers, and you hope nobody's noticing that you're doing that so enthusiastically. Anyway, I had a lot of fun, and I'm glad they're doing it. It's a little different for the Goodspeed. This kind of guitar-dominant instrumentation and stuff like that, but it was a lot of fun. And, the other thing is happening right now is, like, Christianity is really in the news all of a sudden. You've got the Pope fighting with the president. You've got the president depicting himself as Jesus. You've got Pete Hegseth misinterpreting or reading somebody else's misinterpretation of Scripture. Anyway, all right, so we're going to go to the phones now. We've got some stuff to do. Things seem to be happening. And here we go. Here is Walter from Marlboro. Hi, Walter.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. Have you ever heard a tune in the back of a movie that you couldn't identify?
Oh, yeah.
And you just loved the tune so much that you were trying to find it, but you couldn't find it. Well, I was watching a video about the Wright brothers.
Yep.
and they had a promotional video advertising their airplane, and it showed how they launched it and it flew around the airfield.
Which is what it's supposed
And
to
they
do.
had this,
too.
they had this tune in the background, and I was just mesmerized by the tune. It sounded so good to me. So, but at the end of the DVD, they didn't identify it.
Well, wait a minute. The
But we
Wright
couldn't
brothers
find
didn't.
it.
The Wright brothers didn't put out this DVD, right? This came from somewhere else.
No.
Right? They weren't in the DVD.
Well,
So this
they-
is somebody
they made a
else's thing
film
about the Wright
after-
brothers. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, it was just a film to advertise their product, and the tune was put in the back because it was a silent film, of course,
Got it.
at
Okay.
the time. Yeah. So, and we heard this tune.
So hum a few bars.
But I couldn't figure it out, and it wasn't on the end of the. Usually, at the end of a DVD,
Yeah.
they'll tell what tunes they played, but it didn't do that. So then, it remained a mystery for quite some time. So then, the only other time I heard it was mixed in with Christmas music during the Christmas holidays,
Huh.
but no identification there either.
Yeah.
But then you told me about this movie, Ordinary People.
Yes. Oh, so I know what it is.
And-
Yeah.
And yes, and
It's-
that's the only music they played in the film.
It's the Elgar,
Was
right?
this tune?
Yeah.
What?
It's the Elgar, right?
It's
Oh, no,
it's the Canon
It's
and the-
it's Pachelbel. Pachelbel. I'm sorry. It's Pachelbel all the way through.
yeah, that's right. That's right. You got it.
Yeah,
So anyway,
Pachelbel, yeah.
so I thank you for solving my mystery.
Well, that's excellent. You know, that does happen a lot. I think it happens less in the era of Shazam and other Shazam-like apps. But it used to be all the time that you'd hear a song, you wouldn't know what it was, particularly a piece of music. Or one of the great examples. I don't know if you remember this, but there was, I'd say in the '90s, a commercial for Tots champagne, and it had an aria in it. And the aria was from Gianni Schicchi, but it wasn't. That's not like a super well-known opera, and people didn't. But everybody walked around going, "What is that? What is that thing?" And there was. This is kind of maybe sort of pre-internet too, where you could just could just sit down and type in
Right.
Tots champagne music.
Right.
So people just walked around saying to each other, "What is that? What was that song? What was that? Did you see that commercial?" It went on for years.
Yeah.
When nobody got any work done in America, and finally we figured it out. But Walter, thank you so much for your call. And if anybody else has a song that they are a piece of music that they cannot recognize and they don't have Shazam on their phones, I don't have Shazam on my phones. I refuse to put Shazam on my phone. Because I just want to come to it some other. I want to walk around going, "What is that? What was that song?" All right, let's go to Dwight, and then we'll go to Mike. Hi, Dwight.
Hi, Colin. Thanks for taking my call. Listen, I've been following this Trump super scammer for quite a while, and I was wondering, with him putting his name on everything, is he going to be getting royalties from the government for life for these?
He's going to die. I mean, I don't mean to be grim about that, or maybe I do, but I mean, I think he's doing that not so he can get royalties, but because he knows, he's heading down the home stretch here, and he wants to be remembered, and he wants to control the way in which he is remembered. So, first of all, no, I don't think he's going to get royalties for being on the face of the Kennedy Center. I don't think he's going to get royalties if, in fact, that stupid arch gets built, or the dumb, overbuilt East Wing ballroom. He wouldn't get any royalties from any of that stuff. But I don't think that's what it's about. I mean, it's a good bet. I hear you, Dwight. When the Trump family does something, they usually do it for money. But I think in this case, he just feels, the dead hand of mortality on his shoulder, and he's thinking, how much can I control? I mean, he apparently has never read the poem Ozymandias, but he's just trying to think, how can I control how I'm viewed and how much I'm talked about? And, his whole modus really in the 21st century, starting with the reality TV show and preceding that really with putting his name on stuff all over New York too, is that he likes the sound of his name. He likes to hear people saying his name. He likes to see his name up in very, very big letters wherever it can be put there. And I think it has more to do with that than royalties, but feel free to dispute me.
No, I don't dispute you on that, but I'm curious because he once tried to use his name as an asset, saying that his name had value and was using it for loans.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for the stuff like the stakes and the ties and the fake university and stuff like that. I mean, I think he was trying to use it as an asset. I mean, there's, did he put I think he did a wine. He did beverages. I mean, and, I don't think he had very much to do with most of those things anyway, just licensing his name out. I mean, the thing about that, though, if you do that and you don't control the quality very well, and like if the ties suck or, the wine doesn't taste very good or nobody graduates from the university with any useful skills, I mean, you wind up depreciating the value of your own name. You have to be careful about that. You can't just sort of, just license it out wantonly. So I'm not sure he thinks things through, though. I have this feeling that he might shoot from the hip a bit. I don't know where I get that idea. He might just go off half-cocked, declare war or whatever.
I know.
Not a deep
okay,
thinker.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
No, I haven't heard any of those discussions ever. So,
Yeah.
Being the super scammer he is, I thought there might be some.
Scam is a good guess usually as a default guess, but this has, I think, much more to do with look at me and look at my name and behold my greatness even after I have passed, which is none of which is going to happen. But thanks for calling, Dwight. Thanks very much. And here we go with Mike from Woodbury. I want to give out the number again. We're going to go to a break pretty soon. 888-720-9677. That's 888-720-WNPR. Here is Mike in Woodbury. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Colin. So why do these politicians think they can get away with embezzling funds and having sexual, problems? And I mean, just Google Connecticut politician embezzlement. You get like 3 or 4. You got the ex police chief of New Haven, and Doug McQuarrie, I guess, state senator
From Hartford. Yeah.
There was some other preacher / politician who embezzled funds from his church. I guess because they think, well, all these people have voted for me, so I'm invincible. People love me. It doesn't matter what I mean, it just seems like it's stupid. I mean, they inevitably get caught is what is the issue. And I don't understand what they're thinking.
Well, we went through a period considerably earlier than that in which people were referring to the state as corrupticut. And that had to do largely with the Rowland scandals, but also right. Joe Ganim, also Giordano in Waterbury, which started out as a kind of graft or corruption investigation and then turned into something much more dire and nauseating. Paul Sylvester, who was our state treasurer, wound up going to prison as well. And I was sort of, I had a good seat for all of that. I had a good box seat for a lot of that. And I think it sort of divides into 2 categories, although the main one, when you're talking about actual politicians, and I would put, say, police chiefs in a different category, right. But when you're talking about politicians, these are people who kind of believe in the magnetism of their own personalities. I mean, being a politician involves ultimately a certain amount of salesmanship about one's self. So you have to think at least, somewhat highly of yourself in order to do that. And when you think highly of yourself in that way, it kind of can spread if you don't contain it, if you don't understand what you're smart about and what you're stupid about. You start to make those kinds of mistakes. It certainly happened with Rowland. The other thing that's a fundamental contradiction about being a politician, if you don't already have a lot of money or another source of money, is that you wind up with quite a bit of acclaim and not that much money. So, when John Rowland was governor, he was extremely popular. He's, probably the most famous man in the state of Connecticut. But he didn't have a lot of money. He wasn't making a lot of money as governor because you don't. It's not like Ned going in. It's okay already. And he wondered why, he couldn't live the way that he wanted to live, and that opened him up to a whole bunch of other stuff. And to go back to the original point, he really believed in himself. He believed that he had the ability he was very charming. He believed he had the ability to charm people and to get them to do stuff for him and that he wouldn't get caught. And, I mean, it's not priced into every single politician. There's plenty of politicians who go in with a certain amount of humility, or at least an understanding that being famous and voted for and well liked and empowered doesn't entitle you to start wetting your beak. But it's sort of in there somewhere. And then I think for police chiefs, when you have that happen, and it's certainly not the first time it's happened, I think a lot of police chiefs think, well, who's going to catch me? The police?
Right.
So there you
Exactly.
go. I don't know if that's a good answer to your question at all, but I mean,
Well,
it's wonderful. I mean, look, you're looking at it, just talking to the previous caller, Dwight. Look at this guy, I mean, and he's, in fact, unfortunately, proof of concept. I mean, he set up a system of crypto where it's essentially legal to bribe him, and there's nothing we can really do about it, and it can't even really be, at least legally objected to. So we're living through the worst expression of this. We have a nakedly corrupt White House. That is.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I wonder if some of the recent scandals, they say, "Hey, he's doing it. Why can't I?"
It certainly isn't an era that teaches the lesson that crime doesn't pay. You're going to have to go somewhere else, to a different time period or a different place, to find out that crime doesn't pay. Because it seems like it pays pretty well right now. Anyway, Mike, thanks for your call. We're going to take a break. We got wide open phones here. The number is 888-720-9677. Unless you want to hear me talk about obscure 1970s musicals, better call 888-720-WNPR.
And the man hasn't changed his method. And the man hasn't changed his method. And the man hasn't changed his method. He still waves a violent fist. And as far as he's concerned, as a man among men, you don't even exist. He created a dream way up in the sky.
Here comes the poster child of stupidity. Look how she digs her own grave and dives in so exquisitely. The heavyweight champ of naivety. She's turning one more chance into infinity. Is she addicted or just masochistic? He tells her he's bad and she hears I can fix him. Yeah, she's got some problems, like she's on a mission. I know she knows better, but she's got a condition. She's the dumbest girl in the world, running back to that boy like she wants to get hurt. She's the dumbest girl in the world, swears that this time will change, but he only gets worse.
Isn't that great? I actually, either on Monday morning or in this case on Sunday afternoon, I do spend a couple of hours just sitting there listening to brand new music. That's by an artist who now calls herself Lolo. It's capital L, capital O, and the O's occasionally appear with those kind of Danish slashes through them. I don't know. That's probably not the Danish slashes is probably not the right term. But Soren Kierkegaard, the O like that. I should know what this is. It actually came up. I was walking in Elizabeth Park today with the Elizabeth Park Club, my group of people and dogs that I'm with, and I was asking them, like, this turns out to be something I just really don't know how to do. But for example, in Swedish, there's an A and it has a little tiny circle over it, and I don't even, it's a diacritical mark that I don't even know what it does. Although there's somebody in that group who would tell me because he's Swedish. But it's like, how do you get that little circle to go up there? It's really hard to do. Anyway, what is the O with the slash through it called? The Danish O with the, anyway, she calls herself that, and her whole album is great. Brand new album. Her real name is like Lauren something, but it's Lolo, and the album's great, and you should listen to the whole thing. I could have picked 3 other songs easily. All right, so our number, 888-720-9677. This isn't a whole show about songs and music, although it's going to wind up seeming that way. 888-720-WNPR. You can call up about any topic. There are no guardrails whatsoever. I know that's unwise, but that's how we've chosen to live. This is, in the words of Hyman Roth, this is the business we've chosen. Here's Mark in Oxford. Here we go, Mark.
Hi, Colin. Can you hear me good?
Loud and clear, or loud anyway. Somewhat clear.
How about now?
Better.
Okay, sorry. I'm in my wife's new car, and I don't know how to operate.
You better not
Shutting
wreck your
off.
wife's new car. I want you to drive really carefully. She will be so mad.
I know. And you don't fool around with those people, and I'll tell you a little story.
Okay.
One time, she made my lunch when I went to work.
Yeah.
Monday was ham, cheese, and roasted pepper. Tuesday, salami, cheese, and a roasted pepper. Wednesday was turkey and cheese and a roasted pepper. I said, do you think I could not have the roasted pepper? And the next day's lunch was just the roasted pepper. Oh, and it had my 2 twin little kids who are now 30 got in the act and put fake plastic cheese in it. And they couldn't wait. And my wife's Hungarian. You don't fool around those people.
No, we learned that. We learned that. But that's, no, you're lucky she didn't spit in it. And how do you know she didn't? I'm excited that you have somebody who made lunch for you. I think that's.
Well, wait a minute. Let me finish the story.
Yeah.
She didn't make me lunch for 10 years after that. And I'm not kidding.
So think about that. If you put a dent in that car, do you think she's going to take that in some happy-go-lucky, carefree Hungarian rhapsody? I don't think so. So be very careful.
But that's not why I called.
No, of course not.
A couple of months ago, this song had no lyrics. It was just doot-doos, and it popped into my head with absolutely no reference, and I can't place it. My parents were in the record club, and I have hundreds of songs from opera to show tunes in my skull.
Yep.
And I'm going to hum it for you
Okay.
in the off chance that somebody listening will know it.
Yep.
You ready?
Yes.
Doot, doot, do you doot, 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 do you doot, 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 do you doot, do you doot, and then it repeats that, and that's all I know of the song.
You really made it come alive here. Okay, go. Do you do? What's the next phrase in it?
Third, doot, doot, do you
It's just
doot.
the
and then
same thing 3 times? That's all you've got for us?
It's 3 times, then it's do you doot one more last time.
Just a do you do like that.
Exactly.
Okay. This is great radio, by the way. All right. So nothing. I mean, there's like a lot of songs. I think it's Ready or Not, Here I Come by the Delphonics. That's my guess. But I was going to guess that. That's not. I was going to guess that no matter what you did. It's not really the song. It's a nice song though. All right. So we'll throw that out there, Mark. You really haven't given us a lot to work with, but I kind of love that too. Like if it was easy, if it was a reasonable request, I don't think it would be as much fun as it's about to become. So it's not In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. I think we can establish that. And I'm going to look over at Slack and see because sometimes the maestro will try to come on. Oh, Lily Tyson wants to know if it's New York, New York. Do you do? Kander and Ebb wrote with considerably more variety than whatever it is that's currently haunting Mark. Anyway, so I don't think it's New York, New York. But there is that little opening part of there's the little riff at the beginning, right? That's what Lily Tyson's referring to. The Mark, call us back if it is New York, New York, because that would be such an easy resolution. But I don't think it is. I think we have more work to be done here. All right, I'm going to go back to the actual phones. Our number, 888-720-9677. You are free to call up about anything. You don't have to just guess what Mark was just doing. Although it would please me a lot if you did. 888-720-9677. 888-720-WNPR. One of the things that we have learned here, we really haven't learned it, but we could say that we learned it here here at the Colin McEnroe Show is that things that please us are not necessarily pleasing to the people listening. But anyway, here we go. This is Elizabeth from Medford, New York on beautiful Long Island. Hi, Elizabeth. You're on the air. Hi.
I know that song. I think it goes to some sort of TV show. It's definitely not New York, New York.
Okay.
But
you
I know
believe
that song.
you believe it is it's a recognizable song that you feel is distinct from other songs.
Yes. Yes. I mean, as soon as you started singing, I said, I know that song. I don't know where I know it, but it seems to come from a TV.
I think I did a slightly better job of singing it than the person who was calling it in the first place, which also alarms me. All right, but that's not what you called up about.
Right. I love the topic of Jesus Christ Superstar. My father, when I grew up in the 50s, 60s, was always trying to get me to go to church or believe in religion. He was Episcopalian. He taught the confirmation class to make sure that I'd show up. And I was just like, nope, not interested. He finally got my attention. I went to college, and he sent me that album, Jesus Christ Superstar.
Mm-hmm.
That caught my attention. That's when I said, oh, well, I became interested in religion for some reason, or spirituality, more or less. But it's pretty, and I knew the basic tenets of it because I heard it over and over again. But that album was pretty close to the story, which I find interesting.
Up to a point it is anyway. Yes, I mean, actually, I know that Tim Rice alternated between King James and one of the other versions, but there was a thing by, was it Bishop Fulton? It was somebody like that. There was a book about the story of Jesus, which he thought was especially good. So I mean, it wasn't like they made some effort to understand what the story was and to depict it. Obviously, Judas's perspective would be overrepresented as far as the gospel writers were concerned. You know what the clear inaccuracy in the show is. It is. I love it in the second act where the disciples they're basically like the Whiff and Poofs. They're like this crappy a cappella group. I mean, the disciples are useless. Holden Caulfield was one of the first people to point that out. But do they do that? Always knew that I'd be an apostle.
Oh, yeah.
Always knew I'd make it. And then they sing, and when we retire, we can write the gospel so they'll still talk about us when we've died. Well, the disciples didn't write any of the gospels. That's not true. That's a false.
Yeah, weren't the gospels written way much?
They were written roughly a lifetime later, But yeah, there no gospel, as far as we can tell, in terms of biblical historicity, no disciple laid eyes on Jesus during Jesus's lifetime. So yeah. So that's
they were all. I mean, the people who wrote it. I mean, were Jesus and the disciples were long gone by that time.
You don't suppose that guy's song is actually an Episcopal hymn, do you? Yeah, because your father probably taught you a lot of those. A mighty fortress is our God, mighty. No, maybe not. No, I'm reaching here, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for your phone call. I didn't mean to cut you off there. But we have people calling in from all kinds of odd places. The number is 888-720-9677. 888-720-WNPR. You can do one or the other. It's the same thing anyway. All right. Okay, here's... I have to tell a Bob and Ray story after all this. But here's Bob from Portland. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Colin. How are you?
Good.
Good. So I hopped into the car and kind of came in on the song thing.
Yeah.
And I thought initially that it could have been one, but you're talking about hymns. So,
No. It isn't a hymn. It isn't a hymn. No, I was just doing that to lay down a false trail. So you're saying that the one singular sensation, and you can forget the rest. It could be.
I think that might be
I feel like that guy thought that this was like, it wasn't. I mean, so far we've come up with New York, and One, which apparently have the same introductory music. But I don't think this guy thought it was. What was his name? Mark, maybe. I don't think he thought it was introductory music. I think he thought it was the body of the song. But I think that's.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, but thank you for playing.
So I didn't really get to catch what you thought of JCS when you saw it.
I love the show anyway. I think Goodspeed's production is really, really good. I mean, I actually was writing to somebody who works there today. I had some notes, but I think it's really good. You notice how taxing it is on the vocalists, I mean, it really is. First of all, Jesus has to...
Gethsemane.
Yeah. Yes, Gethsemane, Jesus has to hit what's called a G5. It's a G over high C. And that's tough. But Judas's part, even in that opening song, it's not just that the notes are high, but there's just a lot of words, a lot of syllables. I mean, just finding a place to breathe is hard. Carl Anderson made it seem effortless in the movie, but I think it's a pretty hard song. So you have some kind of connection to it, right?
I sang Caiaphas in Landmark Community Theater's production of it a couple of years ago.
You sang Caiaphas.
It was so much fun.
You must have a very low bass voice.
Well, they did have to change the key for me.
Oh, okay.
So that was...
well, they do that sometimes.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to sing the part. And it's been one of my favorite musicals since I was a boy.
Yeah.
I had the records before that anybody decided to make a musical out of it.
Right. I was talking about that earlier. It was Ian Gilliam and Murray Head sang but Yvonne Elliman was on that album.
Yes, she was.
She was there. She was there in the manger when that musical was born. All right. Thanks very much for your call, Bob. Oh, somebody was calling in to say it was a Van Morrison song. Van Morrison person, call back. I want to hear. I want to hear I want to stake your claim. It could be.
I don't really hear it.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a stretch. But I can't believe this is what we're using so much radio time up on. Let's talk about something else for just a second. And let's see. Let's go to Stephanie. We've got Sean. We've got all kinds of people here. Stephanie, who's in New York, United States. Hi, Stephanie. You're on the air.
Oh, hello there. I love your show. And yes, I'm calling from New York on a completely different subject having nothing to do with music. I was wanting to get kind of like a feel. I was watching last night, and it was primarily about the prediction markets, which to me being, an oldster, it just looks like gambling to me. But one interesting thing, and this was, I guess, the hypocrisy of our politics, the Republicans went absolutely nuts over Hunter Biden trading his name. Yes, he worked for Ukraine, probably didn't do very much for what he got, but they ended up saying that Donald Trump Jr. was hired by both of these prediction market companies as a consultant, and one of them was being interviewed, and it was fascinating. They asked him, well, what does he do for, you as a consultant? Does he attend meetings? Does he offer suggestions? And the guy couldn't answer one of the questions. So in essence, he was just being paid for his proximity to the president.
As an employee of Lilly Tesco Quality Entertainment Productions, I have to tell you that we did a show on prediction markets, I'm going to guess 2 or 3 weeks ago. And we did make this point at the time that Don Jr. is on Kalshi and the other one. And the reason that it looks like gambling is that it essentially is, but it's not gambling. I don't know if John Oliver made this point or not, but because there's no house. You're not actually trying to win money from / against the house. You're basically just betting against other people, and they're making that possible. And I guess as a legal conceit, that makes it different and harder to regulate. It's essentially unregulated, and if it ever gets regulated, it'll get regulated at the state level or some new form of our federal government that's not involved. The Trump family will have to come in and regulate it. But yeah, look, it's really, they do stuff, they bet on famine. And that's how, it's interesting just to connect it back to Jesus Christ Superstar. One of the reasons that Christianity has this prejudice against gaming or gambling is that supposedly the soldiers diced for Jesus's cloak after the crucifixion. Either that or they tell that story in order to illustrate why gambling's so awful. I don't know which came first, but yeah, it's the whole thing is just a mirage, and as I'm sure John Oliver covered, there are all these mysterious bets that just suddenly start happening, as if someone might have advanced knowledge about it.
Insider trading, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. As my chief financial guru has said to me, one of the wonderful assets, the primary attribute of insider information is its accuracy. So there, take that. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Let's do Roy because I made him come back. And then we'll go. Oh, these are really, I can't wait to talk to Ilona. I can't wait to talk to all of you. I don't play favorites, but Roy, just really quick, you have a guess about what this song is that I now.
It's not a guess. I'm positive.
You're positive?
Blue Money by Blue Money by Van Morrison.
Blue Money.
No.
Here it comes.
Blue money, blue money, blue money.
He does do that. All right, that's a really good guess, Roy. And if this were a prediction market, if this were a prediction market, which we're thinking of turning it into, I think you would do very well with your prediction. But that's what it is right now. It's not a certainty, and it's not a guess. It's a prediction. We'll take a little break. I don't know if the guy will ever call back and tell us if we got it right. We're going to take a little break here, and we will come back, and we will do more of the same stuff, but it'll be different.
Well, the cameraman smile, take a break for a while, do your best, the very best. Take 5, honey, take 5. Well, your steps in your bag, light up the bank, think it's a drag, but you're so glad to be alive, honey. Life, honey. All you know is that you got miles to go. Take it in, don't take it slow. For nothing. Well, yesterday.
That's the song. No, it's not it. All right, it's time to say some thank yous. We're going to start with Dylan Reyes, the technical producer of this show, which, as I mentioned before, comes to us from Lily Tyson Quality and Entertainment Productions. And also Robin Doyen Aiken, our boss, is on the phones right now and being really nice to everyone and treating them like real people, which is one of her gifts. All right. Mark is back, but I think I need to go to Ilana first. Mark, hang on. Well, no, let's just get this done and then we'll go to Ilana. I don't want to miss out on Ilana, though. So, Ilana, you stay right where you are. But, Mark, how are we doing so far? Have we solved the mystery?
Yes, it was Van Morrison. You nailed it. Your caller.
He was so confident. Yeah. Oh, my God, what a relief. It's the first time we've ever accomplished anything on this show. 17 years in.
I'm just about to lose you going into Rhode Island here, but I wanted to add one thing with the cheese and the roasted pepper story. My kids, who are about 6, were waiting for me at the door, almost dancing. A set of twins, boy and a girl. They're like, Dad, how was your sandwich? I go, it was a little chewy, but I got it down. They're like, you didn't eat it. That was fake cheese. I held it up. I go, no, it's right here.
Well, I'm glad you have that kind of relationship. Yeah, that sounds like you have a very healthy ability to get on each other's cases, which is the key to love, I think. All right, let's go to Ilana in Canton. Hi, Ilana. You have the floor.
Hello, how are you?
Fine.
I only recently started tuning into your show, so I hope that this conversation is in line with what kind of feels like a certain chaos that appeals to my ADHD, so that's great.
Do you mind if we cut that up as a promo? Because that is exactly what we're going for. But
Sure.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, and it's funny, I didn't hear the beginning of the sandwich story, but I might be able to tie it in to Jesus Christ Superstar and sandwich stories. I don't know. We'll see. Don't let me forget about
Communion,
it.
this is my flesh. Yeah, go ahead.
So, but yeah, it was just funny to hear anything about Jesus Christ Superstar, because I was born into a cult in the 80s, a big one called The Way International.
Oh, I remember The Way.
Familiar with that?
Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so I was a Way baby. And I grew up in the most radical form of like evangelical Christian brand, which was of the 90s, you know?
Mhm.
And, but it all started because my mother heard Jesus Christ Superstar when she was in college.
Mhm.
And she wasn't like immune to the messaging because, you know, or like, I don't know how to say it, but basically she grew up with like no religion.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to say who for privacy reasons, but she's the child of a famous jazz musician.
Mm.
And she grew up with zero religion. And then she heard Jesus Christ Superstar and she was like, oh my gosh, Jesus Christ died for me. Like, she was so like moved and touched by this message that was completely foreign to her. And that is what started it all. And then, much to my grandparents' chagrin, she, left college at some point and hooked up with The Way. And that's the long and short of it.
It's so interesting. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, if I'm thinking of the same thing, and I think I am. I'm pretty sure I did a pretty long feature article about them for the Hartford Courant back in those times. I was a religion writer and then a feature writer after that. And I do remember talking directly to people who were involved in The Way, and I remember one
I'm
of them.
not surprised.
I remember one of them.
He was like pretty high up.
Yeah,
too.
I remember one of them smoked cigarettes, and I said, "Really?" And she said, "It's a privilege."
Yeah.
I don't know what that meant, but it seemed to be one of their terms.
Well, there was a lot of hypocrisy, and the leader guy, Dr. Werewolf, he was older at the time when she was involved, but she rode on the back of his motorcycle and everything. And he was seducing a lot of women, and there was a lot of issues going on in the upper ranks. And they actually believed in abortion because their whole philosophy was life isn't a life until the first breath, which was convenient to cover up all the affairs that were happening.
I was going to say, the other reason you join this group, you're probably going to get pregnant a lot. So,
right.
So you got to have a plan.
But
that's fascinating.
She thinks that she was sort of spared, though, from being completely hit on by this dude because of the prominence of her family. And he wanted to, avoid getting in the news.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, first, it's all very interesting. Clearly, the arguments that Judas makes in Jesus Christ Superstar had no impact on your mother whatsoever. He was not heard by your mother. Well, thank you so much for calling in and sharing all of that. That's all just sort of
do
amazing
you want the
stuff.
sandwich story?
Oh, yeah. 30. If you can do it in 30 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, 30 seconds. So my mom was making a sandwich for my dad. They had known each other for a few weeks, and he was helping her with something, and she called out the window, "What do you want on your sandwich?" And she heard a voice that said, you're going to be doing that for the rest of your life."
Yeah.
And and they got married, and they both were happy until they both died. But
I mean, she thought she heard the voice of God saying that or something?
That's what she just kind of felt like. She this like little like intuition, like you're going to be doing this like forever. And they were very happily married.
See, I thought it was going to go in a
30
different
years.
direction. I thought it was, what do you want in your sandwich? And God said, make me one with everything. And you see, which is something that God occasionally, I guess you say that more to God than he says it to you, though. So
No.
I wasn't in the way, so I didn't learn everything like that. But it was a delight to talk to you. And I love the fact, whatever she said, the chaos appeals to her ADHD. We need to turn that into a promo. All right, Mark, I'm sorry, a different Mark. Sean, I'm sorry, caller from the old days. John, I'm sorry. Everybody wanted to talk about Jesus Christ Superstar and other stuff, but we had a lot of fun today. Thank you.
There's one place left to focus your attention. Time to let it all